electronic heating pots like Instapot or Instant Pot or Crock Pot or these types of things. Working from a single dish helps with cleanup. If you do it properly, everything comes out at the same time, all well cooked, all perfectly caramelized or roasted, and all these things happen in one place at one time, and then you can spend your time doing other things. A sheet pan comes in many different styles and shapes. The key thing to know is what I'm talking about when I call a sheet pan are the workhorses of an actual working restaurant kitchen. They call them quarter pans, half pans, full sheets, all of these. So when you have a half sheet, it's 18 by 13, it's got a 1-inch rim on it, and it's called a half sheet pan because it's half the size of a commercial size, a really big commercial size that fits in their big oven. And that's the powerhouse. That's the workhorse that they use all the time in regular commercial kitchens. I don't know about you, but my oven, I think, is probably, I don't know, 30, 36 inches wide, my range. So I can't fit anything too huge inside there. So half sheet is what I normally use. The quarter sheets are nice for your mise en place. We talked about that before on the show, where you do all your prep. You can have them there great for the barbecue, the grilling, and cooking in the backyard, because you can put all your prep stuff on there. You can have one for the cooked things, one for the raw things. They're really great because they're smaller size. They're 9 by 13, very easy to get back and forth. And you can get some smaller ones, and of course, like I said, bigger ones. The key to this is being able to understand what cooks well together. And I'll get into that, and the use of oil and spices and all these things. But the key to this is the large sheet gives you room to spread out things like vegetables, to spread out your proteins on there. And what that does is allow the space to caramelize, to brown, to get flavor, to get the heat circulating. The small 1-inch rim around the sides does the same thing. The hot air can travel into the shallow pan, circulate around the food, getting the pan not only hot, they're made out of usually aluminum or stainless steel, so getting them hot, but also circulating around the food. As far as brands, you can find them everywhere. Your Sarah Cobb's, your Williams-Sonoma, of course, on Amazon, or your local kitchen shop if you have one in your area. Of course, Target, those types of places will have them as well. The brand that I like is Chicago Metallic. And they have commercial grades. They have one called the Chicago Metallic Commercial 2, traditional, and it's uncoated. You can get them coated for nonstick. Just know that nonstick and the different shades of nonstick can change how things cook or how they brown. So keep all that in mind. They're not typically too expensive. They are, like I said, workhorses, and they'll take a beating and stick with you forever. So you'll be gold. Sometimes they call them jelly roll pans or things like that. A lot of different names that you'll see them in there. So now you know the pan. You know why you use that pan. It gives you enough space to keep the food away from each other. If you stack food, what ends up happening is some of it will be heated and roasted a little bit on top, and the rest will be steamed. And you'll start to steam, and it doesn't give the same flavor that you get when something's roasted. So having that extra space on the pan is a big deal. It's purposeful. It's not just that it cleans up easy and it's on one pan, although that is the key purpose. Now that you've got the pan, now you got to know what to get in that pan. That's when you start thinking about the balance of the foods you want to put in there. First thing you're going to want to do is take your protein. If you don't eat meat, that's fine. Just get your tofu or whatever you'd like to put in there. Maybe there is a meat analog that you like that you want to put in there. I know that's a big deal right now. You're finding more and more chicken substitutes, beef substitutes, and soon you'll start seeing more and more steaks and things like that. But for right now, if you use a tofu or a meat substitute, great. If not, poultry works well with or without the skin. Seafood, pork, beef, all work well, and you can find different cuts that you like. Thighs, I'm a big fan of thighs because I like the dark meat and the flavor. I think it's got great flavor. It does not dry out easy, and it holds up well to those really hot temperatures. Because keep in mind, with a sheet pan meal, you can crank that bad boy up to 425, 450 to get a nice roast on that thing. So knowing what it takes to cook the protein is going to be your benchmark. Once you find out what protein you want, whether it's chicken, skin on, or beef, or whatever it might be, then you start breaking down the time that it's going to take to cook that thoroughly. Why? Because that is what can make you sick if it's not cooked properly. So with a poultry or a chicken breast, for instance, it needs to be cooked to 165 in the thickest part of the protein. Then you know it's done. The preferred method is to take it out prior to hitting that peak level of heat, like at 160, let's say. So the residual heat, when you take it out, will bring it up that 5 degrees, and it will be perfect and not overcooked. So a chicken breast, boning can be 30 to 40 minutes at 400 degrees. Knowing that, when you do a boneless, it's going to change. It's going to drop down, and you're going to go 20 to 30 minutes. Whole chicken size, bone in, 30 to 45 minutes. Whole chicken size, boneless, 25 to 40 minutes. So you can see how it will vary 10 minutes here or there, depending on what cut you have, whether it's bone in or boneless. The reason why that's key, what you end up doing here, is that becomes the time you know you have to have that sheet pan in that oven for that length of time, right? Then, when you pick your vegetables and the sides that you want to put with it, preferably vegetables, they work so well in this setting, is you pick vegetables that are going to, that you can control the size, shape, or what have you, to cook perfectly in the same time it's going to take to cook the protein perfectly. So now you get to look, are you going to do dense vegetables? Are you going to use very wet vegetables or mostly water? These types of things. We'll come back. I'll tell you some ideas of those veggies put in, how you're going to want to prepare them to get them perfect, and a couple of tips when we come back. It is the technique of the week on the fourth report. I'm Neil Saavedra. A short show today. We are only going until 3 o'clock, and then Steve Gregory takes over with his special on 9/11. So go nowhere. All right, let's get some news, and we'll be back with more.
I'm Amy King, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. 23 tons of wreckage from the World Trade Center has arrived at the Richard Nixon Presidential Library in Yorba Linda to mark the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. The wreckage was taken to the library in a motorcade, escorted by CHP, OC Sheriff's Department, and the Orange County Fire Authority. A homeless man's been arrested for allegedly stabbing a security guard to death behind a strip mall in Anaheim. Anaheim police say Joseph Gomez was stabbed in what they're calling an unprovoked attack last night. The 24-year-old homeless man was arrested as he tried to leave the scene. 253 voting centers have opened in L.A. County ahead of Tuesday's recall election. The centers will be open from 10 to 7 every day, and then 7 to 8 on Election Day. If you don't want to vote in person, you can also mail your mail-in ballot or drop it off at one of 400 official drop boxes around the county. Got a car on fire. We'll tell you where next.
Hey, it's Neil Saavedra. Your home says so much about you and what's important to you, so it makes all the sense in the world to invest in your home and your family's comfort. Years ago, we called American Vision Windows. They installed gorgeous French doors for us, changed the flow of our home, brought light and backyard access to where there was none. They just put some new windows in our kitchen. They're gorgeous, not to mention efficient. Their work is outstanding. I have friends and family who use them at my recommendation, and they love American Vision Windows just like I do. We all know Bill and Kathleen's story. Horrible experience replacing their own windows. Started their own company. 20 years later, they continue to beautify homes with personal care and attention. CSLB number is 778-326. Trust the window company I trust, my family trusts. American Vision Windows. You'll see the difference. Call American Vision Windows today. Get that free estimate. 888-226-9908. That's 888-226-9908. Or for all their specials, go to AmericanVisionWindows.com.
Clear tonight with lows in the 60s. Sunny tomorrow, highs in the 70s at the beaches, 80s to low 100s inland. This report brought to you by Indeed.com. We've got a car fire. It's in downtown LA on the 110.
That's northbound at 3rd Street. It's along the right shoulder, causing some looky-loo traffic from the 10. Another car fire in Whittier. That's on the 605 northbound, just after Rose Hills Road. And this one has the right lane blocked, so it's causing heavy delays from Whittier Boulevard. Diamond Bar on the 60 eastbound at Grand Avenue. A stalled car is blocking the carpool lane, so it's a stop-and-go ride from Lemon Avenue. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Pedro Moreno.
Hitting speed bumps in your hiring process? Streamline your route to hired with Indeed. Their hiring platform makes it easy to attract, screen, and interview candidates, all in the same place. Find your next great hire and visit Indeed.com/credit. This report is sponsored by Norm Reed's Honda Superstore. Summer may be almost over, but there's still time to get super prices on a super selection of new Hondas. During the final days of the Honda Summer Sales Event, return your Honda lease to one of their 5 lease return super centers and upgrade today. Online at normreeds.com.
Have you been wanting to spruce up your home, but are being told you'll have to wait weeks or even months for your furniture to come in? Don't wait. At Court Furniture Outlet, everything you see is in stock and ready for immediate delivery. And now, during Court Furniture Outlet's annual Labor Day sale, you'll save on everything you need to brighten up your home or make your workplace more comfortable. New upholstery in several styles and colors, including sleeper sectionals with storage, only $5.99. A huge selection of office furniture, including mesh pack office chairs, from only $59. Plus great deals on bedroom sets, mattresses, dining, and so much more. Come into one of Southern California's best-kept secrets, where home stagers, designers, and savvy business professionals have been shopping for over 40 years. Visit Court Furniture Outlet in Glendale on Central, in Corolla at the 91 and McKinley, and now Fountain Valley at Euclid and the 405. Or go to CourtFurnitureOutlet.com. That's C-O-R-T FurnitureOutlet.com.
Did you know the arrow in Amazon's logo represents A to Z? Maybe the My Computer Career logo should represent unemployed to employed. Ryan was out of work when he started classes in March. In September, he started his IT career, working for Amazon, making more money than he ever thought possible. Here's a prime opportunity. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You can start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
This is Leland Smith, owner of Service Champions Plumbing, Heating, and AC, with another good deed for free. Our technician Alexander was performing a tune-up recently when he discovered that he needed to run to Home Depot. He asked the customer if he needed anything at Home Depot, and he perked right up. The customer went into his garage and found a specialized screw with an O-ring on the end. He said he needed a few more just like this so he could hang a shade over his pool to keep his grandkids from getting sunburned. Alexander found the part, then when he got back, he said, look, I have the tools, I have the energy, let's go ahead and hang the shade down. The job would have taken our customer an hour to do himself, but the two of them together got the shade up in just 15 minutes. Thanks, Alexander, for doing another good deed for free. We're Service Champions, plumbing, heating, AC, and good deeds for free.
Service Champions, plumbing, heating, AC, and good deeds for free.
9/11, 2 decades later, is a limited series podcast that looks back 20 years since the attacks of 9/11 and features those who were in the inner sanctum of our country's government.
It felt like the end of the world, to be honest with you.
And we ask the question, are we safer today than 20 years ago?
I don't think so. I wish I could answer differently, but I don't think so.
9/11, 2 decades later, episodes 1 and 2 this Sunday night. Or download on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
I'm Steve Gregory. The attacks of 9/11 forever changed America and also marked the beginning of the war on terror. Join me for 9/11, 2 decades later, an exploration of decisions made to make Americans safer. And we'll attempt to answer the question, is America safer today than 20 years ago? Today at 3 and 8 p.m. on KFI.
More stimulating talk.
KFI AM 640, heard live everywhere on that there iHeartRadio app. Hey everybody, it is the Fourth Report. All things food, beverage and beyond. I'm your well-fed host, Neil Savager. How do you do? Don't forget, Mr. Mo Kelly coming up at 6. Also, it is a short show for the Fourth Report today. Obviously, we here in the United States are commemorating the anniversary, the 20th anniversary of September 11th. We will be doing some special programming with our very own Steve Gregory coming up at 3 o'clock. So we are only on for 1 hour a day, and I thank you for hanging out. It is Technique of the Week. For those of you who haven't heard the Fourth Report before, every single show at 2 o'clock we do Technique of the Week. The Technique of the Week today is dealing with sheet pan cooking. So sheet pans, we went through in the last segment, we went through what a sheet pan is, the sizes you can get, the purpose and importance of them because they're sizable and have a short edge around them. That little tiny 1-inch wall allows heat to get through, circulate around the food. Why is it important to use a sheet pan for cooking? It's really primarily to be able to, in this case, do an entire meal or the majority of the meal in one sheet pan. Pop it in the oven and you're good to go. We talked a little bit about protein just a few moments ago, so let's get into the veggies. Veggies, the key thing about veggies is use similar types at similar sizes. The purpose for that is that they will cook more evenly. So if you're going to have really dense vegetables, think winter squashes or potatoes or carrots, they're going to take the longest to cook. You're going to need 30 minutes plus to do that. As a matter of fact, we do slow roasted carrots in our house here all the time. I cook those things for over 2 hours. We're cooking them at 270 degrees or so. But for long periods of time to get them tender but still have a little tooth to them and just gets great flavor to them. So you can change those things, but if you're going to set your bar at 400 degrees, moving up, you can speed things up by going to 425 and 450, obviously, in that roasting range. Keep in mind that the size and the type have to be similar. So dense vegetables are going to work really, really well. If you are going to vegetables with high moisture, it's going to take less time. You're going to be 10 minutes to, let's say, 40 minutes or so. Those high water content veggies, like tomatoes or zucchini, they have to kind of, I almost said ooze. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right at all. They give way or let out a lot of that moisture content. It starts coming out, and that has to evaporate or cook down first before it can start to caramelize or roast those vegetables. So with a lot of water, it's going to take a little more. Keep also in mind that you're going to want to add some moisture to these things because you're going to be cooking them at high heat. So your veggies are going to need oil. Olive oil is a go-to for me. There's a lot of people that are really digging avocado oil. A neutral oil can work really great, but also you can find oils with a little bit of flavor if you want that in there to kick it up just a little bit as well. Leafy veggies, your broccoli rabe, your bok choy, kale, of course, they're going to cook the fastest. So you're looking at, 3 to 8 minutes or so. As far as cooking time for vegetables, asparagus, the whole asparagus here, 8 to 14 minutes or so. They come in different thicknesses, as you know. Broccoli, 10 to 15 minutes. Cauliflower, 25 to 40 minutes. Carrots, and you want to cut them into half-inch chunks, 30, 40 minutes, something like that. So cherry tomatoes are going to go pretty quickly, 25 minutes or so, but they can go up to 50 minutes, 50, if you want them to dry out a little bit and start to get caramelized. And by dry, I don't mean perfectly dry, you've got the oil on there. I mean to get that water coat off the outside so they start to get that beautiful color on them. Potatoes, 25, 35 minutes, sweet potatoes, a little bit more, 30 to 40. Zucchini, summer squash, they're in the 40 to 55 minutes to really get that texture that you want when they're cooked. So now you start seeing with those times, you start comparing them against the times we talked about earlier with the proteins, and you can see what marries well. You'll go, this protein works really well with this veggie because you can put it all together and it'll be good. As far as sauces go, you can end up building a sauce or a gravy in the pan afterwards. You take the protein out, take the veggies out, and if there's any leftover juices in there, or you can add a little water or a little broth or stock in there, and you can build up a sauce with your roux if you wanted to. Roux is just a 1-to-1 fat to flour as a thickener, and then you add it to that moisture and it will thicken up. And you can sieve out any of the strains if you want to go fancy. Otherwise, you can build things very simply by that oil that is on there and having it well seasoned. The oil that you put on to make sure everything wasn't going to dry out as far as the veggies. And see, you build up that flavor, use your fat. Duck fat is a great flavored fat. Bacon grease is another one if you want to add flavor based on the fats in there. Your heavy, sturdy herbs and spices, so the sprigs that are sturdy like oregano, rosemary, or thyme, these are all great choices, just like you would on a turkey for Thanksgiving Day. You can have them in there. They're going to roast up well and bring a lot of flavor. Stay away from basil and mint and things that are really, really thin. They're just going to brown and they're going to be nasty. The good note on that is if you do want to add some of those things, add them as a finish on the veggies and they'll brighten them up with those fresh herbs. Also, don't forget your acid. A little drizzle of vinegar, a little bit of citrus, something like that on there, a little cheese or a salsa, and that will spice it all up. And there you've got, in the same amount of time, your entire dish. All right, we'll be back with more. A short show today. We're only going until 3 o'clock, giving way to Steve Gregory and a special on 9/11, 20 years later. So go nowhere. Let's get the news.
I'm Amy King, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The U.S. Army football team has honored the 20th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attack by carrying American flags out onto the field prior to the start of their game against Western Kentucky. The remembrance was one of many that are happening today on the anniversary of the terrorist attacks that claimed thousands of lives and led to a 20-year war in Afghanistan. President Biden has visited all 3 9/11 memorial sites on this 20th anniversary of the attacks. Nearly 3,000 people were killed in the attacks this day in 2001. Biden says the families and loved ones of the people killed are an inspiration.
People around the world that you'll never know who are suffering through their own losses, who still need your courage. Your courage gives them courage that they too can get up and keep going.
Biden says he hopes the nation can embrace the spirit of unity and come together to commemorate the anniversary. A COVID-19 vaccine requirement will soon be in place for businesses in West Hollywood. The city issued an executive order last night that says most businesses will need to have people 18 and older prove they are fully vaccinated to come inside. The orders will be enforced starting next month for restaurants, bars, gyms, tattoo parlors, hairstylists, hair salons, and more. One major studio's streaming-focused movie opening could be coming to an end.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Disney says it will show the rest of its movies this year in theaters only, at least for the first few weeks after they open. Black Widow was in theaters and on Disney Plus at the same time when it opened, leading to a lawsuit from actress Scarlett Johansson. But that model will go away in favor of theater exclusives. Shang-Chi was a huge success as a theater-only release, and Disney representatives have said they're encouraged by people's growing willingness to go to theaters. Brian Berman, KFI News.
Here's a car fire in Whittier now on the 605.
That's northbound just after Rose Hills Road. It has the right lane blocked and is causing heavy delays from Washington Boulevard. Highland Park on the 110 northbound at Avenue 43. There's a stall car stuck in the right lane. You'll see some stop-and-go traffic from Avenue 26. And some good news in downtown LA on the 110 northbound at 3rd Street. An earlier car fire has been extinguished along the right shoulder. Traffic is recovering from the 10. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Pedro Moreno.
Contractor license 1047-781.
Dad taught me to do things the right way, not the easy way. You got any brothers and sisters? 8 sisters, 7 of which are older than me. Did they teach you anything? They taught me that people matter a lot. I'm talking to Ken Goodrich, owner of Gettle Air Conditioning and Plumbing. The day I started my business, my first job was for a 90-year-old man whose air conditioner broke down on the hottest day of the year. And he didn't have any money to pay me. That's awkward. He was really embarrassed. So when he asked if I could take an old cello as payment, I told him I always wanted to learn to play the cello. The what? The cello. It's like a giant violin. You talking about the thing standing in the corner of your office? Yeah, I didn't know you could play that. I can't. Then why'd you take it? I took it because he would probably have died if I hadn't fixed his air conditioner. I took it because people matter. I like working here, Kenneth. I like working here too, Zach. Get 'em. GOE TPL. It keeps it cool, but it's hard to sell.
outside weather from KFI. Clear skies tonight, lows in the 60s. Sunny, very warm again tomorrow. Highs in the 70s at the beaches, mid-80s to mid-90s for Metro LA and Inland OC. 90s to low 100s for the valleys and Inland Empire. A heat advisory is in effect for the IE through tomorrow evening. We'll cool down a few degrees on Monday with a slight cooling trend continuing through next week under sunny skies. We lead local, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Amy King.
It'd be damn nice if our homegrown team started focusing on what's right. Everybody outside the state is bitching about this state.
For 18 months, we followed Gavin Newsom's coronavirus rules while we were kept from working. But while we followed the rules, Newsom and his rich pals broke them, spending $13,000 for one meal. I don't spend that much in a whole year. While my kids' school was closed, Newsom's kids went in person to a private school all last year. Our church was closed, businesses shut down, but Newsom's winery was wide open. We counted on Newsom to keep us safe from looters and murderers, but he released a guy from prison who murdered a mentally disabled man, forcing him to dig his own grave and burying him alive. Who's next? It's not only that Gavin Newsom can't keep us safe, get us back to work, or keep our state open, he thinks rules don't apply to him, just like in his marriage. How's that for focusing on what's right? Paid for by Common Sense Information.
If you thought you missed the lowest mortgage rates in history, you're in luck, because they're back. Mortgage rates are near historic lows again. So if you have a mortgage, refinance it and forget it. You'll never have to worry about refinancing again. Network Capital Funding is offering a low 15-year fixed rate at 1.75% with a 1.94 APR. Incredible! Network Capital has built a reputation for saving people time and money with our unique process that's fast, simple, and secure. Our 15-year fixed rate is 1.75% with a 1.94 APR. Now, second chances don't come often, and you may never see these rates again. So, refinance it and forget it. That's a 15-year fixed at 1.75%. Yes, 1.75% with a 1.94 APR. Call the experts at Network Capital now. Call 800-500-1-HIT. 800-500-1-HIT. As in home run. Call now and save big on your refi. 800-500-1-HIT. 800-500-1448. NMLS ID 11712. Not licensed in all states. Visit NMLSconsumerAccess.org. Licensed by the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation and the Financing Law. Number 603D787. An equal opportunity lender. Rates subject to change and may not be available rate law. Discount point may apply. Subject to credit approval. Call 800-500-1448 for additional cost information.
You remind me of a guy in high school who took my girlfriend, then went on to the next school. You still think you're better than everyone else. You shut down public schools while your kids went to private school. Even now you live by different rules. You closed tiny coffee shops while you ate dinner at the fanciest restaurant. $12,000 for wine. People lost touch with reality. This is not about political parties. It is about you, Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom. Dude, wake up. Look at all the homeless. You've gone through $500 billion, and where did it go? And why did you raise the gas tax again? Newsom, you cost me my job twice. But the money meant to the unemployed like me, you paid the scammers. I'm a Democrat, and I want you, Gavin Newsom, out.
Ad paid for by Larry Elder, Ballot Measure Committee. Recall Newsom. Committee major funding from Elder for Governor 2021.
Before I started Rooter Hero Plumbing, I was an angry young man. Hello, I'm John McClain. I was angry because my dad died when I was 17 and he left me alone. I was angry because I couldn't go to college with my friends. And because I had to drop out of high school. It's not a pleasant story. But as I grew older, I also grew up. I realized that my dad didn't leave me alone. He left me with values and principles that continue to shape my life. Dad said, be on time. He didn't like it when people were late. He taught me to be polite. It was something I lost, but recaptured along the way. And he taught me to keep my promises, because broken promises lead to broken relationships. We teach and keep these values at Rooter Hero Plumbing. I think we have a pretty good company. I know we have great people. And if one of our heroes fails to live up to these values, please call me. My private number is on the back of every Rooter Hero business card. You can also reach us at rooterhero.com. Thank you.
For official rules and more information about contests on this station, go to KFIAM640.com/rules.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere on that there iHeartRadio app. Hey everybody, it is the Folk Report, all things food, beverage, and beyond. Today is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And we're going to be doing a special with our very own Steve Gregory, star reporter, coming up at 3. So it's a short fork report today, but I'm happy to yield to Steve and his wealth of information. This is going to be a different kind of look, looking at the change in security, safety, how in general we feel as Americans 20 years later. Do we feel safer? Do we not? He will tackle the tough questions. Steve Gregory coming up at 3 with a special, so join him there. If I didn't tell you before, this is Neil Saavedra. We get 3 hours normally on a Saturday to come together and talk about food and kind of shake off the heaviness of the week, or if there's something going on in your life. Food is one of those things that brings us all together. Times have changed the past year and a half. We've gone through a lot, but slowly as we continue to navigate the different versions, variants, however you want to deal with it, to come out of the pandemic, we're still starting to open schools, kids are going back, young adults are going back, and all of those things. Breakfast is in the center of it all. Breakfast is one of those meals that I love, and I enjoy making too. I just think it's a tasty meal, and it's one that I prefer. If I can have, I will. I don't always get time to have breakfast, but when I do, man, it's a treat. So, how do you make breakfast during a time when things are crazy? Maybe you're still working at home, but the kids are going back to school. Whatever you might be juggling, having time to make a good hearty breakfast, or even a playful, fun breakfast as a treat can be difficult. Keep in mind that when you do have time, just like when you do meal prep during the week, if you do that, or if you do that to help the week balance itself out, you can set aside a day or part of a day to make certain things for the week as well. So let's say on a Sunday you like to make breakfast. Well, then go ahead and make breakfast. If you're going to make pancakes, if you're going to make French toast or something like that, keep in mind to make more. Why? Because they freeze beautifully. Pancakes freeze beautifully, everything beautifully. So does French toast. These are things that you should be thinking about making if you're going to make them on a Sunday. Anyway, make extra, let them cool down, and then I prefer to, at that point, put them on a cookie sheet and freeze them separately so that they don't all stick together. Makes it easier for individual portions. Also, you can go to a restaurant supply place, a place like Smart and Final, and you'll find they'll have these little, 4x4 pieces of parchment as well that you can place in between these items to keep them so you can take out 2 at a time. The French toast keeps up beautifully in a toaster, and you can do the same for a pancake, as a matter of fact. Pancakes can reheat very well in the microwave.
All models are equipped with Sirius Radio and 1-year Sirius Radio service.